Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. We would like to welcome you and thank you for joining us on our first inaugural brand new webinar series we're doing here at Nozomi called the Security Sandbox. Just like when we were kids, we like to play in the sandbox. That's where you test things out first, get to experiment with new things before you take it out of the sandbox. And we're going to be doing things like that here. Once a month, we plan on doing this in the same sort of live delivery manner. And each time we're going to be covering off a slightly different topic. So just to back up for a moment, again, thank you for joining us all. My name is Sandeep. I'm with Nozomi Networks. I'm the field CTO here. I live in Calgary in beautiful Alberta, Canada. And again, thank you all for joining us. I'd like to introduce you as well to my amazing co-host and co-worker, Vivek. I'll let you take it away, Viv.
Thanks, Andy. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the LinkedIn live stream. Vivek Punada. I work for Nozomi as a technology solutions director, and I'm based in Houston, Texas. And it's amazing to start this new series and looking forward to y'all's engagement. So feel free to type up your questions if you have, and looking forward to having a chat about AI, which is the topic of the hour and topic of the day.
Perfect. Like Viv mentioned, for this inaugural episode, we are going to be talking about one of the hottest buzzwords in cybersecurity and in general right now, and that's AI. Interestingly enough, Nozomi, having been around for well over a decade at this point, we have our roots and our genesis in AI. Our founders have experience and education in AI and ICS cybersecurity from the time they founded this company. So right from day one, we've been lucky enough to have AI and machine learning working for us. As you'll know, anyone who is a current customer of ours using our product, you're very well familiar with the multiple uses of AI within the platform. So for the purposes of today, Vivek and I thought it would be great to just talk about some emerging trends in AI, a lot of deconstructing what AI actually is and how it can help us in cyber. Of course, being in cyber, our job is protecting things. So we're also going to talk about our adversaries a little bit and how they may be taking advantage of new technologies. So I think this is going to be a very fun 28 minutes. I've been with Nozomi for about 4 years now, so I've had a lot of time to play with the platform. I've executed on hundreds of POCs, evaluations, bake-offs, architectures, and each time I can tell you AI plays a fundamental part in us being able to help our customers work smarter, not harder. So let me start off with an easy one for you, Viv. Just wanted to see if we can get some insight from you on what are some of the ways AI is being used offensively in cyber attacks.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think if you ask people, you have the AI hype people that hype up AI for everything. And then there are the people that are anti-AI, meaning don't ever talk to me. If you open your mouth and say the words AI, I'm going to walk out of the room, right? And the reality is somewhere in between. So we have seen, not necessarily in OT specifically, but in general, ransomware attacks, phishing scams, other kind of email campaigns, if you will, from malicious actors leveraging AI to improve their grammatical skills and not making any mistakes in email campaigns or putting together malware quickly, even though they're not technical, because that's what the new AI tools and the large language models have been able to kind of help them do, right? So I think a lot of malicious actors have latched onto the fact that a lot of these bad things have become easier. So running campaigns and running phishing scams has become a lot easier. So definitely, if not in OT, we've seen this AI being used in the IT ransomware attack quite a bit, and that makes it tougher for people to defend. So that's the first step. So what do you think? In general, has that been your experience as well, that AI has been used by bad actors, primarily on the IT side, and using traditional schemes to kind of improve upon what they were doing already?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we saw a leap forward, especially on the IT side. We've been seeing these types of attacks for years now. Go back to the first time you got a email from your boss that said they needed help transferring $6 million, but don't tell anyone I'm on vacation. I lost my phone. Contact me on this number. You know, those types of campaigns started with AI. Just like you talked about the ability to craft better phishing emails, let's talk about deep fakes, right? Now we're going beyond the traditional text message, and people are starting to get audio deep fakes, and we've also seen video deep fakes. So unfortunately, as much as AI is helping us to stop the bad guys, it's also helping them to not only generate malware, generate it quicker, exploit vulnerabilities quicker, find them quicker, and of course the deep fake challenges. So yeah, AI, as much as the great side of AI, you know, cyber professionals and cyber defenders are definitely aware of the pitfalls and the negative side.
Yeah. I guess let's now flip the question then. So if it's become easier for bad actors to leverage AI for malicious purposes, how is it going to be useful for defense purposes, right? So if the red teamers and others that are on the offense use AI, how are the blue teamers and the defensive posture folks be to respond? Like, what do they have to do, or what can they do?
Super question. And it's funny you bring up red team, blue team. Again, that brings us back to our days of the past decades when it was definite bad guys versus definite good guys. Everybody stayed in their lane. These days, as you know, we're starting to participate in a lot of purple team exercises because the lines between red and blue are very blurred at this point. And to answer your question, you know, on our side, on the defender side, our biggest challenges have always been the need to analyze and correlate huge amounts of data from dozens or even hundreds of sources. And all of that used to be a largely manual exercise or being dealt with scripting and very defined parameters. You know, things like AI and ML have now helped us sift through vast amounts of data. Of course, AI and ML are being used everywhere in your cybersecurity stack today. Most of the products you're using have it to some degree. And the ways we're using it today to help us are number one, things like that big data analysis and correlation. Number two, threat detection, right? We're using things like machine learning, baselining, profiling to detect anomalies, attacks, and malware. Of course, vulnerabilities, right? Being able to not only identify vulnerabilities, but we're using AI to help us prioritize what vulnerabilities need to be addressed in order of sequence. Of course, things like risk scoring, this is a whole new proliferation of metrics available, particularly within our space, ICS cybersecurity. So things like risk scoring and prioritization need AI and ML because every organization is unique. Even within the same vertical, two organizations have vastly different security policies, and things of importance to them may be of less importance to a peer. So these are all a number of ways. And of course, at the end of the day, our job is primarily to not only stop things from happening, but if they do, we have to now delve into what we call incident response. So being able to automate and expedite and accelerate a lot of that incident response, AI and ML have definitely helped us there at keeping the gaps smaller and shutting them as fast as possible. What are you seeing from a defensive perspective?
I think the use cases are exactly as you described, right? So we've had a large amount of data in disparate sources and trying to correlate them and use them for understanding what's our baseline, what's good in your environment, and how do we stop the bad guys from leveraging it and inducing some kind of negative effects on the system. What's interesting though is that currently, as it stands, AI essentially is a black box, right? Most people, when they see a product being advertised as AI enhanced or AI assisted or based on AI, either they question the whole validity of the premise or they then get to, okay, you're talking about the outcomes, but tell me how it's getting to this outcome, right? So my feeling is that unless most people are comfortable with how the AI is programmed, what type of algorithms, what type of overarching schema, if you will, do we have, is clear, right? Most customers will end up either switching off those components because it's unknown, because nobody likes black boxes, right? So my feeling is we're in this situation where there's a good use case for a lot of AI in OT, like you described already, but it's also a step in the direction of explaining ourselves, right? So, what's been your feeling, and how do we explain to someone as a user that historically has not needed AI and is now questioning what is it, why do I need it, and um, don't tell me what I can get from it, but tell me how I can get there. So your thoughts.
Yeah. Um, I mean, our world is different every day, right? The things we learn today, 12 months from now, are going to be considered obsolete. So, in order for us to keep on top of things, you've got to embrace AI, both from a learning perspective and an operational perspective. Now, I just got a text message from someone watching this, which is great. Thank you guys. But I would appreciate if you put your questions into the chat. That's the last time I'm looking at my phone. But I got a really good question. What are some examples of an AI specific threat? Right? Yeah, no kidding. We're talking about AI threats, AI being used against us. Give me an example, right? So, well, we talked about one with the phishing, with the deep fakes, getting messages and texts from alleged, CEOs of your company. But here's a real great example. So as organizations adopt and embrace AI more into their automated processes, the vulnerability of those systems themselves is a huge concern, right? Things like data poisoning, LLM prompt injection, or things like machine learning model evasion are a major challenge that we have to deal with as the bad guys learn how to abuse the technology. And of course, again, enhance their side of things and make it more efficient for them. I mean, can you only imagine what would happen if we had some sort of AI driven predictive maintenance system, right, at a critical infrastructure site? If that system was manipulated in a data poisoning attack, whether it was AI assisted or not, doesn't matter at this point. But the bad guys can do things like change sensor readings or introduce deceptive maintenance logs or false data into the feed. And just by feeding the system with false information, attackers can very easily mislead those AI models into making inaccurate predictions about health, maintenance, safety, security, which can ultimately lead to breakdowns, increased downtime, and most importantly, potential human life and safety risks. Can you think of
Yeah.
any others that you've come across as of late that are good examples of this threat?
I mean, there are a lot of examples out there, but I just want to build on what you already said, right? Because you mentioned whether using AI or not. The point being that data poisoning and other attacks, these attack vectors have existed for a long, long time. What we have seen, though, is that malicious actors are using AI to automate and fast track and scale up quickly, right? So all known kinds of attacks, even if they don't change, they have definitely evolved into scaling up and scaling quickly using AI. And the downside is the defenders, can incorporate a direct response, right, without going through a lot of legal and data privacy and other kinds of reviews that the bad guys don't have to worry about, right? So whether you believe in defensive AI or not, offensive AI exists and exists in a much bigger scale, just because they're able to sidestep any regulatory or legal requirements that the defense has, right? So on the defense side, we we have um, much more obviously thought process in incorporating in, and one of the key aspects of understanding, what needs to be incorporated is understanding what AI means to you in particular, right? So it's one thing for a product such as ours to have AI built in and giving you some insights, right? The next step is to figure out how to use the proper prompts and how to elevate the use case for your particular environment. So my feeling is more so than um, examples, because we're defense people, right? So essentially, we're all protecting critical infrastructure. I would let other people worry about how more use cases exist for offensive purposes, and I fall back on exactly what you said. Whether AI is used or not in the offensive side, I know for a fact that I can use AI and machine learning to improve my defensive posture, right? So that's all I'm really concerned about. And I can do that at scale. I can do that with fewer resources, right? So if I have um, an AI tool assisting me with number crunching and giving me insights so that I can spend less time on focusing on what's really important versus having to dig myself through a whole bunch of data and then do all kinds of correlation, write scripts like you were mentioning, maybe write rules and kind of figure out myself. If a tool can help me narrow down my list of priorities, if a tool can give me a key, top 3 or top 5 things I can go chase, that really cuts down the effort from my end to focus on what the defensive posture is, even if the results have nothing to do with AI. I think that's the key aspect here, that um, we can let the bad actors figure out how else to use AI for bad purposes, but the focus on our end is how can we leverage what we already know? Because our environments, our OT environments are well documented, well established, with a lot of information in different places. If we can combine them and provide insights for ourselves, that's the best use case for us.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, you talked about rules, 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 rules. Rules are so static, right? And our environments are basically the exact opposite of that. We've got dynamically changing environments, whether it's through mergers and acquisitions or instantaneous happenings environmentally. I think one of the important things to note is that because we are in such a dynamic landscape today, particularly from a security perspective, I mean, look at things like polymorphic malware, right? These things can dynamically change themselves to evade rules and signatures. So we need tools like this, and we need to be able to harness them better with the tool set we have. Which brings me into my next point. You know, as a reminder to our audience and to people watching and to people that may be just starting this journey, what are some good questions to ask when evaluating your cybersecurity vendors and their AI capabilities? And this question kind of brings back PTSD from my IT days of when the cloud first came out, right? Everyone thought, oh, cloud, 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 cloud's going to fix all our problems. The cloud is the answer to everything. But in order to have been successful at leveraging cloud technologies, you had to understand things like, how is this going to help my team with day-to-day tasks? How can I gain operational efficiency by doing this? So it's the same set of questions when it comes for evaluating cybersecurity vendors and their AI capabilities. A couple questions that popped in my mind, to ask your vendors are things like, what algorithms are in use and where in the product are you using them? And of course, I think before we even go down that road, the main question isn't even, are you using AI in your solution? It's, how are you using AI in your solution? We know it's there. So understanding things like what algorithms are being used, where in the product is it helping me, right? How is this going to help my team with day-to-day security tasks? Things like monitoring, correlation, detection, analysis, all the things that are giving my analysts fatigue today. We've all heard of this: alert fatigue, alarm fatigue. It's a real problem. And it's a tactic the bad guys rely on to get past defensive lines. What are your thoughts, Viv? Anything else to add?
No, I think that is spot on. So the question is less so on, what tools and how it's implemented, but what does it mean for you, right? So if I'm the asset owner, my use cases are the key to incorporating any technology or tool in my process, right? So if a vendor can answer, hey, these are the use cases that we're addressing, and whether that's leveraging AI or not, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. And yes, I think on the other hand, as a vendor, we understand some of these use cases are better served, faster served, more accurately served leveraging machine learning capabilities, and that's why, as a vendor, it makes sense for us to incorporate AI in our product and security stack, right? However, the key for the asset owner or the end user is what use cases. And you mentioned fatigue, and you mentioned resource utilization, or just how much time it takes to dig through a whole bunch of alerts before you figure out exactly what alert is responsible for a certain incident, right? So if someone can answer those questions to say, hey, here's the path to getting faster results, more accurate results, and results at scale, that might be the reason why someone would apply machine learning or AI in their product stack. So
For
my
sure.
opinion is this is still an emerging endeavor, right? So a lot of people are still dabbling with it. There's a lot of marketing noise out of it. So I guess my question in return would be to how would you eliminate some of the noise surrounding AI, right? So there are some definite use cases. We talked about it already a few times. Um, what would you, in your opinion, do to kind of eliminate some of the noise where it's all AI, 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 and not talk about how it's important or what's relevant in a particular user environment?
Yeah, super question. And we do this with customers and prospects all the time, right? You take the conversation away from features and speeds and feeds, because in my mind, that's equal across the landscape. The real questions to ask are, what problems is this solving for me? What challenges am I going down this road for? Where is my team struggling? Where is my organization struggling? And if you have an understanding of exactly where you need help, those typically make the best deployments because you already understand what your problem is and you're very focused on finding a solution for that instead of just features, 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 speeds and feeds. It's more about problem solving. Why are we here? Why are we having this conversation? Right? You can look up speeds and feeds on the internet. You can do comparisons yourself. We're here to solve problems. And I
Yeah.
think once you shift the thinking approach and the mentality to look at it that way, instead of looking for a product, looking for a solution to your problem, I think that changes a lot. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, as we pivot directly, from that question, we get asked that question all the time. So for the benefit of our viewers out there today, let me pose the question to you. How is Nozomi using AI to safeguard the world's most critical infrastructures?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting aspect is AI is not new to us, like you mentioned early on. Even 10 years ago, with our founders having a background in machine learning and AI, we incorporated process anomaly detection and cybersecurity anomaly detection using AI for many years in our product line. And then just in the last year, um, as you as you know already, some of our viewers have seen this before. We introduced a tool called Vantage IQ, which is a machine learning cloud analytics based tool that really leverages AI's power and provides insights to customers based on their specific environment. And that kind of leads to this question from Cal, who asked a great question. How will their IP data be protected from being disseminated to outside sources or utilized outside of the environment? I guess this question is in line with other concerns about data privacy because most people think AI means pulling multiple resources, multiple customer data, multiple types of data from individuals with or without their knowledge and combining them with others to provide some insights. But that's not what we're talking about. So I think you can do a better job of explaining, for example, how Vantage IQ's machine learning is not combining users' data with other people's data.
For sure. At the end of the day, we use AI to solve two primary problems, right? Number one, what noise do I need to get rid of? That's the biggest problem. False positives, noise, alert fatigue, alarm fatigue. So what noise do I need to get rid of? And more importantly, what's normal? What does good look like? Because before I can tell you something's wrong, I need to have a very strong understanding of what good looks like. So those are two key things that we solve using AI. Our platform helps users increase time to value by providing guidance for tuning the system, right? We use AI to help users find that needle in a haystack. That's why customers come to us. From our perspective, the bad guy's main mission is to avoid detection as much as possible. Nozomi Networks provides the most complete solution for detection by combining not only signature detection, but also anomaly detection, right? So our signature detection, things like Yara rules, STIX indicators, packet rules, Sigma rules, we can do all that stuff very well, but it's the combination and that hybrid threat detection of both signatures and anomaly detection that makes us so strong. Our AI platform helps illustrate this by identifying things like unusual behavior, giving security analysts the edge. Again, we need these guys to work smarter, not harder. And I mean, the biggest takeaway from this whole conversation is AI is only as good as its data, right? Garbage in, garbage out. We've been hearing that for years. Nozomi has the most complete data set and also the most scalable solution to cover everything from passive detection, active detection, endpoint detection, and now wireless detection, right? So first you need to have all the data, then you can start to do the fancy stuff with AI.
Yeah, I think you make great points about what we're doing, but in general, though, I think our approach, more so than the product itself, our approach has been to make sure that it's your data that you better have control on and send only what you consider is okay to send to the cloud, right? So, number one is no end user, no asset owner should be required by a cloud platform to send unlimited types of data to their cloud, right? So I think one of the data privacy basics is to ensure that the end user has complete control on what type of data they're sending to a cloud provider for any kind of analytics, right? Whether it's AI based or other machine learning based analytics. Um, that's one of the core tenets of our product, right? Where we give end users absolute control on what type of data they could choose, for example, to send only alert data or only certain types of asset info or a combination of those. And then make sure that the analytics are run against those in their specific environment so that what's important to you is not um, in more cases they're not relevant to only you and not to others, right? So especially with these OT environments being highly specialized and highly customized for your use cases, you can, for example, in your environment, there might be a PLC talking to an HMI, and that's normal in a particular protocol. In a completely different environment, that same PLC might not be talking to that HMI in the same protocol, even though they're the exact same make, model, and all the other aspects, right? So the use cases are very different in different environments. And so machine learning and AI, especially in OT, makes a lot more sense if it's highly specific to your environment with your data, right? And the data that you control on what you're sending to the cloud for the analytics part. So while I think collectively we all probably see a combination of on-prem large language models and on-prem analytics for some OT data, the more common use case would be you will have to send some data to the cloud because cloud providers are then able to scale up and build a product that can work for more than one customer. But what data you send to the cloud and what is relevant to you should be focused on you, right? And it should be very obvious to you that you are in charge of that data, right? So that I think is a very key aspect that maybe some cloud providers or other solution providers might not be as transparent about.
Super, super. I know we're coming up to the bottom of the hour here, but I think we have time for one more question. I've got one here, and I think this is very relevant for us to end on this note. How do you foresee artificial intelligence impacting the current cybersecurity shortage? Great question.
I agree. I mean, I'll kind of ask for your thoughts at the end, but in my feeling, this is what makes AI unique, right? Historically, we've had automation help people in improving efficiencies and getting more work done in a faster time period. This is no different that way, right? So AI happens to be another tool that can make one person be more efficient than before, maybe utilize fewer resources. Just because OT security, we don't have that many cross-trained people, right? We needed a unicorn for OT security for a long time, someone that's highly capable of understanding OT environments, understanding how the process works, and at the same time be very much IT savvy and networking savvy. And we have very few people today that can do all these things, right? So AI definitely can cut down on the tasks required of the same person and maybe help them, be more efficient. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, bang on. Absolutely. Of course, artificial intelligence and machine learning have massive benefits for cyber teams, helping people do infinitely more with fewer resources. There's things that previously took a team of people a week to do that one person with some intelligent software and some good knowledge of prompts can bang off in a few hours. So we're able to increase efficiency hugely, which is a good thing considering the shortage, right? Especially in fields like ours, like OT, like IoT. However, the downside of that is that the bad guys are also reaping these benefits, right? As our side gets smarter with the science and the technology, and as it evolves, unfortunately, so will cyber attack methods. So it's hard to say who's winning the battle on any given day, but the more tools an organization has at their disposal, generally the more successful the outcome is going to be. So I think it's a good thing if leveraged correctly and properly.
Awesome. Well, great way to end the live stream, folks.
Perfect. Well,
Thank you
that
all
brings
for
us.
joining. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate everyone's time. This is an exciting monthly series, if you will. Looking forward to having you all join the next one. It'll be a different topic. And thank you for the engagement. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day and hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye, folks.